Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be talking about how we can use the project in a real-time studio and how we can mainly synchronize many components together. In real-time studio we can synchronize components either using their places or their transitions. So if I take this example here, which has been previously modeled as only one component or fully contained component, we can divide it into two or three pieces. So let's start with a simple case where we have just a producer and consumer, and we want to synchronize them together without having the controller part involved. So how are we going to do that? So I'm going to be just in this example creating another component. So I create another component. The first one I'm going to be calling producer with capital P, and the second one is going to be called consumer, capital C. So for the producer, I will be basically removing the consumer, so I will have to delete this one, this place, this transition, and I will remove also the controller. So we're not going to be using control for now. So this is going to be my producer component. And since I want place P1 to be used for the synchronization later on, I will set this place as an external place. It's no more an internal place, it's an external place. And as you can see here, we have an attribute which tells if place is internal. I'm going to uncheck this checkbox to say that it is an external, meaning that it's going to be used for synchronization with other components of the system. We can have, of course, many places which can be used for synchronization. For the consumer, I will just design consumer, so it's going to be a place followed by transition, and then we're going to be having, sorry for that, so I have just to delete this thing here, and I will be putting the buffer. So for the buffer, I would call it, this is going to be the consumer, so I'll just rename this thing here to be consumer as before. For this transition, I'll flip it, and for this place, I will call it P1. Okay. And I will set this place to be external, not internal. Means it's used for synchronization. Now we have the consumer, and we have the producer, and then I have to specify my system. So in my system, I will create one instance from the producer. It's going to go this way. Let's say process, and we'll call it P equal it's going to be prod, and then another process C, and it's going to be for consumer, and this is what is needed for now to be able to synchronize the two. So if I compile the system, the two components are going to be synchronized, and this is what we get. So I can use these capabilities to stretch a thing. So the two components have been synchronized using place P1, which has been set to be external for both of them. Then now if we want to add a control variable to control the amount of tokens we can put in P1, of course we can add another component to the system, which is going to be the controller. But for now, I'm going to be using a variable, like I did in the previous example, in the previous video. So what can we do with that? Are we going to be defining the variable for the first component here, like we did for in the previous example? Like you would go to the Petri net attribute and you would add a variable here called x, or are you going to set it in the second component here? Actually, we're not going to do that, because if you add these variables, they are going to be local to two components. if whenever you create a variable here, it's going to be local to consumer, and if you create a variable here for the producer, it's going to be local. So we want the variable to be global because both of them are going to be working on it. So I'm going to be creating the variable here. It's going to be an integer. It's going to be called x, and I will set it to 0 at the beginning. Okay, and then we're going to go to the producer, and for this transition here, I will say that we have a guard, and the guard is going to be like x less than 5. And for the update, we do exactly the same thing as before. X is equal to x plus 1. And for the consumer, we go to this transition here. And for the guard is going to be true. For the update, it's going to be x equal x plus 1. So that's it. Now if I'm going to be deleting this one, removing it. So this is my system now, and I can like synchronize the system, and this is what we get. Just hit everything on the screen, and here let's check if it's correct. Oops, there is a small problem. Of course here, whenever we consume, we should decrease x, not increasing it. So let me correct this thing here. And actually here it shouldn't be like putting inside P1 but taking from P1. So we have these two mistakes, and I have to correct them actually in the component, not in the synchronization. So I'll just go to the component here and write x equal x plus 1 here. This is the consumer, or x equal x minus 1, so it should be x equal x minus 1. And here, instead of having this thing, I should have an opposite, in an opposite direction. So I will delete this thing, this arc, and draw another one from here to here. So now I think it should be okay. Now if we go to the system and generate the synchronization, it looks like it's fine. So let's stretch things or bring them. It looks like things is okay. And now if we want to generate the state space, of course we can do that. And let's do that, and that's it. So, and then we get something similar to what we have been doing here. Let me just show you before I finish some like drawing or design capabilities. If you go to the system here, of course you can hold an arrow from this arrow thing here and move the thing, okay, and everything is going to move. But what you can do also, if you use the right button of the mouse and press on this arrow, then you can change its shape, and this would allow for having a clear design if you want to. So just use the right button and clear and press the arrow on this link, and then you can change its shape if you want to. You can do it also for any arc. Okay, so that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.